Hello, and welcome to Industry Reactions. Industry Reactions is a weekly briefing on industry events, changes, and future trends that impact your business. We're your hosts, Rick Honer and Mark Friedel from ChemPoint. You can find Industry Reactions on YouTube, LinkedIn, and as a podcast. For those watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and smash that like button. We plan on discussing issues that impact the global industry and help you uncover new opportunities. We hope this will provide market intelligence that will keep you ahead of changing conditions.
Well, Rick, last week we left off talking about cyber attacks and the Colonial Pipeline that was attacked recently, obviously back up and running.
Yep.
But we're continuing to see cyber attacks in the news, and not just in our industry, it's really throughout all industries. I'm sure many people saw this story that the largest meat producer in the world by sales was recently attacked. JBS was the name of the meat company, and they ended up paying $11 million in ransom to the cyber attack group. The White House was saying that they likely think it's a group out of Russia. The FBI says it's a ransomware gang called I don't know how you pronounce this, Revil. But this is becoming more and more of an issue, not just in our industry, but throughout all different types of industries.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we really need a stepped up, security against this, because, basically they've got an open field of organizations where they're taking advantage of it. A few weeks ago, people were putting gasoline in plastic bags, trying to have enough gas, and now you've hit the food supply, so more expensive. Hot dogs maybe in time for 4th of July. Maybe that was strategically planned. I don't know, but either way, it's a dirty pool, and it's a big impact on business.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of gas prices, oil keeps climbing.
Yeah. One of the stories that we're looking at is that traders have been speculating, and what they're speculating on is hedging their bets towards $100 a barrel oil pricing. They've basically scooped up call options tied to Brent and West Texas Intermediate crude oil, and so their bet is that it's going to reach $100 per barrel by the end of next year. And oil prices haven't been that high since the end of 2014. So, when I see stuff like that, I remember actually the speculators drove pricing up way back before, maybe it was 2009, and JP Morgan was one of the largest traders of oil at that time.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely going up. It's the price of a barrel of oil is well above $70, and it looks like it's going to continue to climb. And as a result, to our next story, drilling rigs continue to expand. It looks like 5 more that were added this past week. Rig count, I think it's now at 461. It's the highest in more than a year. It's still less than what we had pre-pandemic, obviously, but it's definitely climbing. U.S. oil output or production is still behind the peak before the pandemic, early 2020. I think we were cranking out 13 million barrels a day at that point, but we're within 2 million barrels a day of that number right now. So it's getting back there, and it's almost there.
Yeah, so oil pricing clearly is good for our industry. At the same time, when it gets too high, it takes a bite out of consumer budgets. All right, as we look at railcar, we talk about rail shipments, railcar traffic. Basically, we're back on the historic trend for railcar traffic. When you look at the last 4 weeks, volume was up almost 16% from 2020, up about 2% from 2019. That's just over the last 4 weeks. When you look at year to date, we're up about 4% from 2020, but still just shy of 2019. So in whole, volumes are still lighter than they were in 2019.
And moving on to some company announcements. First up in the news is Dow. Dow is going to invest and place a bigger bet on polyurethane. Polyurethane obviously is an industry that tends to grow larger than GDP, but they announced plans to build I guess a world-class, world-scale manufacturing site in Freeport, Texas for MDI, a key component in polyurethanes. I believe it's expected to be done in 2023, so still a couple years away. And as a result of that, they will scale down their production in LaPorte, Texas. So build up this new added capacity world scale facility in Freeport and scale down the one in LaPorte, Texas.
And polyurethanes was the one that was specifically hit. It was that and epoxy in the winter storm that came through Texas. So it's interesting to see those changes. All right, and in a similar vein, Huntsman's looking to increase capacity for ethylene carbonate at its facility in Conroe, Texas, by probably on the same timeline in 2023. The reason for the investment, at least according to Huntsman, is because of its use in lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. And part of me wonders as I see this whether lithium-ion batteries are still going to be the primary battery for use in those vehicles. I know there's been a lot of changes and updates around solid state technologies there. So mid of 2023, I guess we'll find out.
All right, Cargill's in the news again. They're partnering up with Helm out of Germany. Looks like they're going to be doing a joint venture called Core, spelled with a Q. Clever branding. They're building a facility to produce renewable 1,4-butanediol, or BDO. Both companies are going to invest about $300 million to build this facility. It's going to be from renewable sources, not petroleum-based. The products that are going to be produced are going to follow the brand. They're going to go with that Q again, Kira, Qira, and it should be cutting, greenhouse gases, renewable resources. So looks like a pretty cool joint venture. I feel like they've tried producing butanediol from non-petro bases in the past. Hopefully they've got it figured out here.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking they already had done this or somebody had done it before. Part of me also was thinking of the DuPont, Tate and Lyle, where they created the propane diol. That was maybe 5 or 6 years ago, but I know a lot of this was based on corn-based chemistries historically. But maybe this is the most commercial site, although it's a very large investment. Good to see.
Yes, for sure.
All right, and Eastman in the news. Eastman is looking to sell its additives business or its tire additives business to a private equity firm, One Rock Capital Partners, for around $800 million. The sale of that business includes Crystex insoluble sulfur, Santaflex anti-degradants, and other products. One Rocks, if you didn't know, owns the chemical maker Innophos, and they recently acquired BASF's vitamin E business. I feel like I've seen One Rock in the news making acquisitions quite a bit.
Yeah, between One Rock, SK Capital, Pritzker Capital, those are kind of the heavy hitters when it comes to private funds in our industry for sure. One Rock also owns Nexeo Plastics as well. So. All right, and moving on to PPG, they are in the process of acquiring Tikkurila through the acquisition of their shares. I believe the shareholders are going to receive a price of about €34 per share for the acquisition. I don't know much about Tikkurila. Obviously, they're I believe they're out of Finland, somewhere in the Nordics. I believe it was Finland. And majority of their business, obviously in the coating space, but specific to the Nordics and a lot of Eastern European countries. So not sure PPG's presence in that region, but obviously this will strengthen it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Rick, one story that didn't really make the list this week was the big production explosions that we saw at a Lubrizol facility, ChemTool, in northern Illinois yesterday. That was pretty big news. Not sure if you saw it.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw some of the images. Pretty, yeah, you hate to see stuff like that in the news. I think when you, my understanding is I don't think anybody was hurt, so that's great news. At the same time, when everything is tight, a lot going on in the market space, an outage like that for such a large producer of grease specifically is going to cause some ripple effects.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's already it's already very tight. The good news is hopefully a lot of the residents in that area are used to wearing face masks, because the health recommendations are to continue to wear face masks to protect against any of the chemicals in the air.
Yeah, that's true. Now you just got another reason.
All right, that's it for this week's edition of Industry Reactions. We will return next week with a fresh batch of industry reactions. Until then, stay safe.
All right, take care.